kind of look red. Kind of embarrassed right now. Heyo, how you guys doing? No, that's not gonna work. That is definitely not gonna work. All right, well, we are hanging out live on YouTube right now. Yes, I do go tanning once a week. Freaking Idaho's cold, then you need your vitamin D. You do, you need it. Mom, the meatloaf, we want it. Second gallon today. We're double fisting here. It's a lot of water. I go pee like every 20 seconds. But anyhow, let's dive right into some of your questions. My hair is really taking me off now. Really trying to grow it out, but it's just driving me nuts. Let's go to Twitter. Twitter. Everyone's saying we're live on YouTube, so for those of you that are on the other account, please switch over to my YouTube channel. Okay, Pumpkin? Anyhow, here we go. I'm gonna be talking to you guys, answering questions, having a good old time. First question comes from Caleb Hogg. How you doing, Caleb? He says, I've got an injured lower back. What is a good replacement for deadlifts that'll still help me build some muscle? And he says he loves the videos. Well, Caleb, we love you. Deadlifts, to be honest, I don't really do a whole lot of standard deadlifts. I do straight leg deadlifts where I keep my heels on a little 5-inch plate, each heel on a 5-inch plate, and I do straight leg deadlift, knees slightly bent, but I feel like, you know, for lower back, I like more good mornings or hyperextensions. I just feel like with deadlifts, taller guys, I don't know how tall you are, Caleb, but taller guys, I feel like I always injure my lower back. So I'll do deadlifts about once a month, straight leg deadlifts every week, but you know, I always wear a belt. I wear a belt pretty much anytime I'm lifting heavy weight and my diaphragm starts coming into play because I want to keep that nice tiny waist. So I do wear a belt pretty often. If you guys have been watching the Swoldier Nation, then you guys know that, you know, we try to wear a belt. So yeah, if you can't do them, just switch it up with some good mornings or hyperextensions. But why do you have the injury in the first place? Were you doing deadlifts and injured it? If that's the case, maybe lay off the deadlifts, brah. All right, next question comes from Colby Owen. Colby, I like that name. Solid name, man. Says, Steve Cook, you've been through a lot. What are your views / feelings on serious, committed, in-love relationships while young? That is a good question. Bet you guys didn't think we were gonna go the love route on Swoldier Nation, but anything's possible, people. Free your mind. But as far as being in love young, you know, everyone can tell you, don't do this, but if you're like me, you're gonna be hard-headed, and sometimes you just need to learn by going through things and kind of figuring out the hard way. So, you know, I don't suggest getting serious in a serious relationship when you're in high school, your frontal lobe's not fully developed. Things that seem important to you at 18, 17 really aren't important to you at 25. So, you know, I'm not saying it can't work out. I see people all the time that are in relationships that end up working out, but I think it's more about, you know, just being stubborn and hard-headed at the end of it. I mean, there's so many divorces, 50-50 pretty much these days. I was divorced. We got married real young. We both were different people, but I was one of those people, I was so stubborn that I would have just continued to try to fix things. So, you know, just try to keep a level head. There's a lot of fish out there in the sea. I don't think there's one person out there for us. I think that there's many people that you know, you can get along with and make life work. Anyhow, moving on. We're gonna go. All right, what are you, Steve Cook? This is from Ryan Schindler. What are your future goals in life besides winning Mr. Olympia? That, my friends, is a good question. My future goals, there's a lot of them. I mean, winning the Mr. Olympia is great, but it's not something that, you know, it's not something that if I don't, I'm gonna you know, die unhappy. It's not the end of the world. I think that early on when I started competing was, I was all about it. I loved it. Like it was all that mattered. I'd train so hard and I'd get on this high when I'd win a show, but pretty soon, like 2 days afterwards, I was more depressed, kind of the post-contest blues, because you work so hard for something and then it's over. And this happens after, you know, football players, after their season's over, it happens, because so much of who you are and your identity is based on what you're doing, your contest, who you are, like in the gym, and so you have to find things to kind of keep that balance. So for me, you know, I love giving back. I really think that the key to happiness, we're gonna come back to the keys on happiness, but the keys for happiness is giving back to other people. You know, it's not about comparing yourself to other people, and I think, you know, competition kind of breeds a lot of that stuff. So, you know, for me, I'd like to really help people that are severely overweight, you know, obese people, get healthy, get into the zone where they're not, or get into that a lifestyle where they're not worried about, you know, diabetes. They're not worried about, you know, dying because they can't get a hold of the weight problem. And to me, that's just a lot more rewarding than helping somebody go from 8% to 3%. You know, that to me is more about, you know, ego and vanity. And it doesn't have to be, but I think it just, you know, it's more rewarding for me to kind of help those that are so far gone as far as being unhealthy. Anyhow, but winning the Mr. Olympia, it just would give me that great platform, and I do like competing, but I just got to keep things in check. Anyhow, okay, this is a good one. I see people ask me this all the time. If it fits your macros. This is huge. I mean, now being a biology major, I like to get my nerd on, get my science background, put on my thick frame black glasses that are probably lensless and just for looks, but it makes me look smart. And kind of talking about if it fits your macros. So I'm kind of torn, because I do think it's important not to limit yourself on the foods you eat. But the reason I don't like if it fits your macros, because you can add in Twinkies, you can add in, a lot of your calories can come from things that aren't very micro-dense as far as nutrition, so it doesn't have a lot of vitamins, you know. So when people talk about eating clean or eating dirty, you know, there's calories are calories at the end of the day, and it's gonna be calories in versus calories out. But I think of how you feel will determine how good your workouts are. If you're eating junk food all the time, then you're not gonna be able to sustain your energy levels in the gym. You're gonna be getting hungrier earlier, more likely to feel the need to eat something, as opposed to eating clean and then not feeling super hungry right away, or having just the energy levels that you need to. But like, I see people eating Pop-Tarts, and you know, some of that's fine. You know, if you really love Pop-Tarts, eat them post-workout, and just, you know, include that into your meal plan. Right here, Andrew Vildman. How you doing, Andrew? He asks, how do you suggest an endomorph varies their cardio and diet compared to a mesomorph? That's a good question. You know, I post and talk about, I feel like my hands are super, like, I get big. That's like a chicken wing right there. That's crazy. I have bear paws. Anyhow, Andrew, I think I'm ADD. I'm blushing right now too. Okay, so endomorphs, ectomorphs, we're all different body types. You know, as a mesomorph, nobody is strictly one type, body type, but you need to make sure that as an endomorph, you're really watching your calories. You're really eating a little bit more clean than an ectomorph would, and then doing more cardio, obviously. Just anything you need to do to get lean. Some people, I don't know, you know, they're blessed. They stay super shredded year round. They can't get enough food in them. Being a mesomorph, for me, I really have to work on, in the gym, sculpting. You know, I get big and kind of bulky, and when I, like for example, when I do triceps, my triceps get smooth but really full. Like my workout partner, he's got super striated triceps all the time. So, you know, you gotta kind of train with that in mind. I concentrate more when I'm getting ready for a contest on slow, deliberate movements and really bringing out the definition, the striations. I could train with a little bit higher reps and still see growth, whereas some guys need to, you know, do really low reps to gain muscle size. Like, you know, I'm saying like 7 to 10. That's what I mean by low. Steve, this is from Brent Wilson. When dieting for leanness, address when you decrease calories and increase cardio as the diet progresses or at sticking points. Okay, a good question. So as you're getting ready for a show, you know, your metabolism is gonna kind of catch up to your dieting. So your metabolism starts to slow down because homeostasis. Your body just wants that, and it'll get used to a lower caloric intake. So what you do to combat that is you carb cycle, like 3 days low, 1 day high. HIIT cardio actually increases mitochondria in the cell, kind of post-oxidative consumption, as opposed to LIST cardio, which is going to just be pretty much the calories you burn on the treadmill at that time. We have a video coming out about that soon, HIIT versus LIST. That's one way to make sure you don't get that metabolic rundown as bad. But you will pretty soon, if you stay on the same diet, you will notice you're not losing anymore. When you hit those sticking points, that's when I say, you know, decrease the carbs a little bit, bump up the cardio a little bit. But the problem is you can only do so much cardio before, you know, your central nervous starts getting really taxed, especially if you're doing a lot of HIIT. So, you know, it's mainly going to come from maybe carb cycling, dropping the carbs down lower and going a little bit longer. 4 days, 4 days low, 1 high, something like that. Eric Johnson, Steve, when you begin cutting, do you find it hard to quit your normal diet cold turkey, or is there a transition phase? I would like to say no. I stay lean all year round, but that's just not true. You know, I think one of those things, I'm kind of an extremist as far as when you push that pendulum, when you're competing, you push it so far to that unhealthy level of being shredded, 3.5%. You know, it's really not healthy. So your body wants to swing back. So, you know, you got to reverse diet out of it and keep that diet somewhat clean year round. I don't really get probably above 8 or 9%. But you know, it's tough to quit cold turkey. So maybe 16 weeks out, stop all like bread if you have a problem with gluten or whatnot, or cut out all junk food. No more junk food. And then as the weeks go by, cut out things that you might not like, dairy for some people. And then 6 weeks out, or however long you need, it's really depending on how long you need to get into that contest shape. That's when you really tighten it down. But if you're keeping track of things, it shouldn't matter. All right, what would you suggest? This is from Adam Vickery. What would you suggest for a pre-workout meal for an early morning workout? Early morning workouts? I don't do those. No, I used to work out in high school. We used to work out in the mornings. Actually, I like getting up and just getting going, rolling out of bed, doing some push-ups. I like working out a little bit more in the middle of the day, like on a lunch break. But if you need to work out early morning, a lot of people do it. I've done it before too, working out with Charles. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning. What I would do is wake up, get a protein shake and something light, low in fat. You don't want to, you know, fat slows down that digestive process, so you don't want something that's super fatty, like a bunch of whole eggs. I wouldn't do that. Piece of fruit, maybe a half cup of oats, something that's going to give you some energy but not going to weigh you down in the weight room. And then if you can, you know, wait 30 minutes to an hour before getting into the gym. Some people, it really bugs them to train on a full stomach. I think it just depends on what you're training that day. But I would do like a piece of fruit, protein shake, and so on. FitGent asks, Steve Cook, how much do you weigh when you were a senior in high school? I always laugh at these questions because my dad, he was crazy. Sorry if you're watching, Dad, but he was. Man, he would make me do push-ups and sit-ups as a kid. Like, I'm talking like elementary school. I was doing 50 push-ups if I wanted to go over to a friend's house. And I've told people this before. As a senior in high school, I benched 375, 380. It's still the record at the school. And I probably weighed about 200 to 205. And that's pretty lean. Just loved, I work out twice a day back then. I'd do my football lifts, and then after school, a bunch of us would get together and we'd lift some more. Testosterone through the roof. I had like acne on my back, and yeah, that sucked. It's never fun. I remember when I was a kid, I think it was like 9th grade, I had this big old zit on my nose, huge, and I was so self-conscious about it. And my dad and brother come to my high school game, and they call me Rudolph as I'm running up and down the basketball court. Come on, Rudolph, hustle! Hustle, Rudolph. I was so embarrassed. I didn't talk to him for like a week. I mean, as a kid, nobody's secure. Like, I don't even think I remember 7th grade because I tried to block out those bad memories. I was developed pretty early, and I was strong, but I loved lifting. I was a big kid. You know, for that reason, I thank my dad. I've never had to worry about taking illegal supplements. But you know, if you start young enough and if you work hard enough, you don't have to. So thank you, Dad. Steve Cook, why do you? This is from Chris. I'm gonna butcher your last name. P-U-J-A-K-I. Anyhow, Steve Cook, why do you use Hydra Whey in your videos instead of Gold Standard? Very observant. I like to use Hydra Whey because now all proteins contain some lactose, but Hydra Whey is very, very minimal. So if you get protein bubble guts, a lot of people call them, get you gassy, switch over to something like Hydra Whey. I love it. You know, to me it tastes good. It always is really easily digestible. You know, there's some debate on how fast to digest because there's other things that come into play when you digest protein, like what else are you drinking or what else are you eating with the protein. But I just like Hydra Whey. You know, for me, contest, I just feel like it doesn't give me those gassy feelings, and I take enzymes. You know, nobody likes living with a bodybuilder who is not taking their enzyme and who has bubble guts all the time. So all you girls out there, you know what I'm talking about. All right, Rob asks, can you talk about your own thoughts on recovery regarding chiropractic massage therapy? Yeah, I wanted to be a chiropractor for a while. Being a biology major, I just thought it was something that was super cool. Franco Colombo was a chiropractor. I wanted to be a chiropractor. But I think that the thing with chiropractors is it's kind of like anything else. It's not a one-time fix. If you go to a chiropractor or massage therapist, it's a treatment plan. You know, it's something that you're doing with lifting weights. We all have imbalances. You know, through stretching and through chiropractics, you can kind of help realign those things. But eventually, your body's mechanics and everything will kind of go back to where they want to be. And if you're always doing certain movements, the same ones over and over and over again, you're going to need to keep on going back to the chiropractor, and it's therapy. You know, it's going to be needed not just once, but you know, it might be something you go to continually. Steve Cook, how excited are you for Anchorman 2? You don't even know. You don't even know. I love quoting my movies. I really do. I've been quoting. Actually, I had 21 Jump Street today that was quoted to me. Perfect line. You know who you are. Made me laugh so hard. My current height is 176 centimeters. I don't know what 176 centimeters is. What is the best way for me to stop? What is the best weight for me to stop bulking phase? Kind of how I go by this is I kind of look to Steve Reeves and so many of the things I do. His kind of ideal proportions. You can look it up online, and it kind of gives you, if you're 6'1", I think 205. Now that's a very lean 205. So the heaviest I like to get is about 215, which I'm about right now. If you can't tell, I'm all kind of puffy right now, but so 215 is the heaviest I like to get. 205 is where I start feeling really, really good. Just health reasons too. You know, I feel like I can run better. After I'm done competing, I'll probably get down to like 195, 200. You know, still lift hard, but incorporate maybe a triathlon. Just push myself in some other realm, CrossFit, or just do something to keep me busy. This is from Rob. This is another one from Rob. Talks about your staple exercises you do for your workout that you feel you add in almost all routines. You know, I think there depends on what kind of stage you are in your training. If you're a beginner, body weight stuff. If you've been in the gym for a while but you're looking to gain size, compound movements, the squats, the bench, there you could do some deadlifts, cleans, presses, just something that's going to be more all around, kind of help you with putting on overall mass. And those compound movements are the best. You know, people have been doing those movements for so long, and they're kind of tried and true. Okay, here we go. Jose asks, how long after your post-workout shake do you have another meal? Good question. I like this one. This is, you know, something that I see so many people out there fretting and getting so concerned about is meal timing, meal timing, meal timing. And while I do take a post-workout shake and eat a banana or get some glycamaze in me, you know, you're not going to be, training isn't as catabolic as you may think, and you're probably releasing more cortisol by stressing out about it than you are if you just are kind of, you know, relax and be like, well, you know, if I can't get my protein shake 30 minutes afterwards, it's all right. But I like to eat when I'm hungry, as far as I get that shake, get that banana in me, and then usually it's about an hour, hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours. I'll get hungry again. You know, one of the things I did early on is I always ate on a clock. I was like, oh, you know, 3 hours is here, I gotta eat or else I'm gonna be catabolic. It's just not the case. You know, your amino acids gonna stay in the bloodstream a little bit longer than that. You know, I think eating too often actually inhibits the breakdown of fat. So for me, it's just when I'm hungry, I eat. I don't ever force myself, because then you go back to when you're done dieting, when you're done getting ready for a show, you kind of have forgotten just how to be human and eat. I remember getting done with my show and being like, what do I do now? Like, do I go back to eating normal? Like, I don't even know how to eat normal. So I just ate like a pig. You don't want to do that. Okay, this is from Sean Williams. There's a lot of dudes on here. Can we get some females on here asking questions? I mean, I got no problem with the fellas, but bring your girlfriends around, and I'll bring some girls on Swoldier Nation. We'll show them what's up. We'll get a bunch of fit and healthy women. Steve Cook, when doing chest, I can never get a serious burn. What do you recommend, Steve? Swoldier Nation, love the hashtag. Thank you. When doing chest, it's all about the feel. Now, for the longest time, I would do bench press, and I was super strong, but it was because I wasn't concentrating on my chest. I was using so much anterior delt. So when you do chest, it has to be all about the feel and the squeeze. And Charles Glass was really beneficial for me to train with him, because he really showed me how it's almost a scooping motion, and you consciously think with your mind just how you're using the chest to squeeze, and it's that mind-muscle connection. And it only happens if, you know, lighten up the weight, get the feel in the certain muscle. If you start feeling it in your triceps or your delts, something ain't right. Something's got to change. That's with anything. You know, you have to listen to your body's feedback. Check your ego at the door, people. Ego is not something, as a bodybuilder, it's not about weights. As being healthy, it's not about weights. It's always fun to lift a ton, but do it right. Joseph Zamitas asks, what is your take on training a muscle group, arms, back, shoulders, chest, or legs, twice a week, and how? Now, lifting as long as I have, I feel like I've tried just about every split in the book. You know, I tried Arnold's super high volume. I've tried, you know, one body part a week. And I think that, you know, what I'll say to this is larger muscle groups in the body, legs, your lower back takes actually the longest to recover. Things like arms take the least amount of time to recover. Abs don't take quite as long to recover either. Those things can be trained more often, and they're not as taxing on your central nervous system. So it's a little bit, it's easier. It's okay to train those things, especially if they're lagging. Now, if you have huge arms and they're out of proportion with your legs, obviously don't keep training arms. You got to evaluate your physique. But I definitely think it's okay. For a long time, on my chest day, I would hit chest, and then on my arm day, I would throw in some extra chest workout or some chest exercises as well. But you just got to make sure everything's in balance. You know, if you're working out to your maximum, then you need to maybe, in order to get those arms to grow, you maybe need to back off on, let's say, you know, if you have a huge chest and you need bigger arms, back off on chest day until your arms catch up. Because it's all about proportion first, symmetry, then size, being shredded. But you know, another thing I want to bring up is everyone, there's so many rules out there. You got to do this, you got to do this. You know, first of all, do it for fun, do it because you want to be healthy. Secondly, when people start talking about what's optimal, you got to decide what's optimal for you. If you love working out in the morning, or if you love, you know, doing cardio in the morning, it's optimal for you because you love it. Don't be so close-minded. You know, for me, I know people say, oh, you can't do this, you can't train like that because you'll inhibit this. But at the end of the day, I'm doing it for me. I'm not doing it for anyone else. So if I like doing something a certain way and it's going to keep me coming back to the gym, that's why I incorporate a little bit of CrossFit. Not because I think that, you know, it's going to alter my physique in a way that it's just going to be awesome. I do it because I love it and because I feel like it benefits me, you know, my cardiovascular system. And it's just something to change up. So, you know, you have to decide what's optimal for you. That being said, you know, don't be doing cheat curls, swinging your back like crazy in the squat rack, and say, no, this is optimal for me. You know, there's science out there, but at the same time, you know, you gotta figure things out for yourself too. Steve Cook, what are your views on weighted ab exercises? This is from Kieran H. Darby. I don't like weighted ab exercises. I tell everyone that, you know, when you get lean, your abs are gonna come in, and it really depends on, do you have a thick waist naturally, or do you have a thin waist? If you have a thin waist, you can get away from doing some side bends, and it's gonna be fine. If you have a little bit thicker waist, it's not. You know, for me, I don't wanna add any more thickness to my waist, so I keep everything pretty much body weight. The only thing I do throw on some weight is a cable crunch, where you have it above your head and you're crunching down. And really that's just, I mean, you can't crunch down in that position without using weight. It just wouldn't work. So that's about the only one. Anyhow, I'm looking at my Twitter feed, getting questions, and I just saw, I'm a Sagittarius. What's your sign? Just kidding. I didn't know my sign until like a week ago, and I think it's funny, because they always, you know, they always tweet out such ambiguous things that are like, you know, would work for anyone, but it's fun. Steve Cook, you're a beast, really digging the big man on campus. Thank you. You didn't ask a question, but I appreciate the love. You know, I feel like I get way too much credit out there. You know, my dad helped me out in getting big as a kid. I try to have fun. Bodybuilding.com has been there. Optimum Nutrition's been there. I have great camera guys. Like, to me, I just, you know, I don't take this as serious sometimes as I should, because I'm trying to just have fun with it, and people sometimes get mad if I don't, you know, tweet back or whatnot. And you guys gotta understand, you know, I'm not getting paid to do you know, Google Hangouts at night. This is just fun for me. I like answering questions when I can, but you know, I have to have a life too. You know, and that goes along. Someone asked me with how you deal with haters. You know, and I always tell people, you know, if you don't have haters, you're not doing anything right. You know, you should have people that don't agree with you. You're not gonna always please everyone. And like I said in my last video, the real talk one, you know, I'm a people pleaser. I like it when people like me. I like having friends. I'd rather have a friend than an enemy, but you know, you can't always make everyone happy. So stop trying. All right. Well, this is a good question. This is a little bit more contest prep oriented from The Boulder. What's the best diet for the morning of a show to look full? That is impossible to answer for an individual. So it all depends, kind of like, I'm from the school of thought where you diet your butt off. Really, that last week, you should be ready for a show. And it's all about slowly filling back out, letting your body rest, taking an adequate amount of carbs. Carbohydrates really take 3 days to fully digest and to be assimilated into your body. You know, I think bodybuilders taking insulin and things like that, taking all of these carbs in, you know, it can work for them. For natural guys, physique guys, you know, it shouldn't be a huge change in your body. You know, your body's very smart. You can't manipulate it to the point where you're gonna get some drastic change, but you can do little things. You know, when typically the day of a show, I'll wake up early, get a meal in me, and just eat every 2 to 3 hours, never overeating to where, you know, you get a distended belly and you're needing digestion. But, you know, I sip a little bit Gatorade right before I go on stage, and I also get some fats. Reese's Peanut Butter Cup is about 15 minutes, helps get a little bit of that vascularity, those fats do. But everybody responds a little bit differently. Some people carb up, they do better responding to carbs, some people do better with fats. It's a trial and error process, and hopefully, you know, you hit it on the head, but I've never peaked the same for different shows. It's always a little bit different in there. The biggest thing though is don't stress out. When you stress out, you know, that's when you release, you know, you start holding onto water and just becomes problematic. So physique guys out there, if you're doing a show, or for anyone, practice your posing, practice your stage presence. You know, that is so underrated. You go out there on stage, you've worked your ass off, you're all shredded. You have to enjoy that moment. Like, if you're enjoying it, everyone else in the crowd is gonna enjoy it. Anyhow, we gotta get things kind of moving here. A couple things I wanna talk about. Upcoming stuff, I'm gonna be heading out to Australia. Hey mate, put another shrimp on the bob, eh? That's an awful Australian accent. I always go British when I do Australian, and I don't know why. I'm gonna work on it tonight though. So that way when I go down there, I'm not so American. But anyhow, I'm gonna be down there the 15th of April, hanging out for a while. Philex convention, come out and say what's up. I love Sydney. I wish I could live there. It's really beautiful. And then I'm going to Body Power. So, all of you out there in the UK, all those Irish soldiers in UK, London, you know, just all of you guys out there that show so much support. I'm excited. I've never been to Europe and I can't wait. So Body Power, we're gonna be there. We're gonna come out, come say what's up. We're bringing the Optimum Nutrition team. I'm gonna be representing out there. We're bringing a fun, healthy lifestyle. The Swoldier Nation going to be just having a blast in London. So please come up, say what's up. I'm gonna be nervous over there for the first time, so be nice. Also, we're gonna have Swoldier gear coming up soon on the website. What I need from you guys though, I am running an art contest. You might not know it, but I'm an artist. No, I'm not. That's why I'm asking you guys. I need you guys to design a logo. Winner gets $250 in supplements from Optimum Nutrition. I need you guys to take this picture of me, do an outline, kind of like the Michael Jordan outline, and get back to me. Winner gets free supplements, and it'll be on shirts. The faster we get that up, the faster we'll get shirts out there. I know a lot of people are requesting Swoldier Nation shirts. We're gonna get her done. Yeah, t-shirts should be on sale. We're gonna do a pre-sale. We're only doing 500. It's a limited edition of this first run of Swoldier Nation t-shirts. Gonna have some little cool, unique things on them. So give me those designs and we'll get that up and running. Hopefully within 2 or 3 weeks, we'll have shirts out there for the whole Swoldier Nation. Anyhow, had a lot of questions I didn't get to tonight. This has been a lot of fun. It's been real. It's been fun and it's been real. It hasn't been real fun, but it's a good time. Anyhow, like Kermit the Frog says, time's fun when you're having flies. Time does not fly when you're having fun. It ain't easy being cheesy. Swoldier Nation, I'm out. Love you.